People often say to me, Nick, if you had all the money in the world, what boat would you buy? And it's a really hard question to answer, but what I will say is that this would be a contender. And I'm going to take you on board and show you why, but basically it's because this is a Princess S65. This is a 2017 example, and this boat just does everything. It's amazing. There's almost nothing that this doesn't pack into its 65-foot length. It's manageable for a couple of experienced people, 3 very easily. And it just, as I say, it starts right on the outside. It's a great looking boat. Look at the lines on this. It's got the flybridge on this one as well, but it's actually a sports cruiser. And what that means is that you've got the garage on the back. Now I'm going to show you inside the garage. We're going to do the full tour on this and go into every area. So when we do the decks, I'll show you what the garage looks like. In fact, there's a tender in there. But we'll head on board first of all, and I'll take you through the interior, and then we'll work our way out. So there's a door here we can open. And straight away you're starting to see some of the facilities this boat's got. So it's got power winches on the back so that when you're stern to berthed, you can put lines onto here and power yourself in against the quay. There's an awning that goes over the sun pad. So if I push a button just here, there we go, you can see how that comes out. Sun pad is on the back. Really nice space for 3 or 4 people to lie out. And as I say, if you're somewhere hot and you want the shade, well then you've got it. Lovely seating area here, and that's under this hard top, and again you've got the shade from this as well, and this will fold up, so if you're not dining, you just want somewhere to put your drinks, then you can drop that into an area half its size. Put that awning back in again. Stereo out here as well, so that's a fusion system. This is just storage in underneath in places like this and in here. That's the ladder up to the flybridge. We will show you that as well, of course, but let's head on inside because this is nice. It's a satin finished cherry wood, and straight away, again, you know, a lot of boats you get the dining area and the saloon all together. This has actually got a separate dining area here right next to the galley, so you can keep that totally separate. What's nice about that is that you can have this a little bit more upright and that a bit more relaxed, so you don't feel like you're sitting in a dining area when you're watching TV. The galley is over on this side. It's all one level floor. A lot of boats you step down to the galley. This one you don't, so you're never going to trip over that. There's a massive fridge freezer in here. That's the fridge, and the freezer of course is underneath. And if we head on round, this is storage for plates and stuff like that. And again round here. The other thing it's got here, actually, you can see how this door opens nice and wide, but in fact you can press a button here. Check that out. And now what you've got is the ability to completely connect these areas. It just makes the flow through the boat totally open. I think that's fantastic. What else can I show you? This is little cutlery drawers in places like this. These are all soft closed, of course. You've got all electric cooking, so you've got the oven here and the hob up above, and there's a dishwasher as well. That little fella flips around like so, and that will sing us the song of its people. Close that back up. Over on this side, more storage underneath there, more drawers. I won't open them all, obviously. You get the idea. And then the sink just there. So nice galley area, but I love the way that it caters straight across to this. If you want that to be a bit more casual and a little bit less dining, well then you can slide that across and discover it's the other leaf that lifts. There we go. You can drop that one over and you can see they put a different finish on there. So if you're just using it for cocktails of an evening, it's all a bit nicer. You're not having to all sit up around a table. And of course you can put director's chairs around here as well, so everyone can sit right the way around and eat. This then is the lounge area, the saloon. There's one step up and that gives you a little bit better view. You've got these beautiful big windows that drop right down behind it, so tremendous view out. Another area here as well. You could dine here if you wanted, of course. This opens up like so, and then opposite that you've got a TV that will retract out of the way if you're not using it, and underneath you've got an ice maker, the AV system, cocktail fridge, so everything is right to hand all the way across. Look at these drawers for all your glasses, and your bottles go underneath. How nice is that? Close that up, and I love the grain if you look, you'll notice that the grain follows perfectly, but they put it on a slant rather than just being traditional across. They've made it just a little bit more funky, but in a very discreet princess kind of way. That one there, just a bit more storage. Okay, lower helm. So what you've got here, because this is a sports style boat, is this whole roof section here will open like a big sunroof. So if you want to drive from down here and have the open air experience, you can do, but you're still very sheltered by the screen. And so it means that you've got a much more sheltered driving position. There is a flybridge as well, and you can drive for the completely open experience if you want it. As I say, this boat does do pretty much everything. Twin helm seats here, and then you've also got a side door out. So what you can do with this is push that little fella there. That releases it, and then that slides open like that. So you've got direct access out, and that, of course, if you are managing the boat with just a couple, it means whoever's at the helm, they can watch the boat in and then be straight out of there to pass the line or whatever else. The other thing you've got on here, which is really useful if you're doing that, is bow and stern thrusters, but these have a hold function on them, which means that in fact, you can see it just there, hold. It means that when you put the boat alongside, as we've got it now, you can just run these sideways and they'll just keep running while you go out and help putting lines on. So again, brilliant for short-handed crewing. What else have we got here? Across here is your multifunction displays, so radar, charts, depth, all that kind of stuff is on there. Engine instrumentation is on there as well. This one's got a Seakeeper, that's a stabilizing system. Seakeeper spins at really high speed and it allows it to push against it, so as the boat rocks it can push back and keep it steady. That's a very, very nice feature, very expensive as well. And then if we come on around here, you can see that we have got the main control panel for all the electrics on the boat across here. So this is giving you your cabin lighting and your saloon lights and pumps and machinery lights, all that kind of stuff is controlled there. So these are all circuit breakers. Your main battery isolated switches are on here, your water system controls are on here, your holding tank discharge. In fact, it's got auto and manual on here and a backup. And then over here is the 240 volt stuff. So this is things like battery charging, microwave, fridges, again, they'll run off of the ship systems or off the 240 volt. Dishwasher is on here, ice maker is on here. And that is fed from either shore power, if you're plugged into the marina, or you can fire up a generator and you're completely independent. Let's go on down a bit further. Now, the other amazing thing about this boat is it's a 4 cabin layout. We'll start right at the front. I love things like this lighting that they've tucked in here at night. You've got this lovely glow that comes around here, that's fantastic. Come up to here, this is your VIP guest cabin. Really good size and absolutely lovely. Nice big hull windows, and again that discreet lighting, you can see it along in places like this. You've got AV equipment in here. All the cabins are air conditioned and heated, so you can control the temperature from there. And then all over the place there is just little bits of storage tucked away. So there, for example, down underneath here, up here as well, I'll catch under there. So tons and tons of places to tuck things away, but then also under the bed you've got great big drawers, so bedding or more clothing, that kind of stuff, that can all disappear into there. And over here then is the actual hanging locker. What's interesting is you see that here, you can see the rail for the clothes to go on there, but there's a catch at the back, and that is because in behind here, very carefully take that out with one hand, you can get to service areas. So plumbing, air conditioning, wiring, it's accessible. There's nothing worse than having a problem when you can't actually physically get to it. So that is some very nice engineering, allowing things like that to be able to get actually into it. If we come over here, this has got its own ensuite, so that's just for this cabin. Toilet there, there's a shower as you can see, and that's completely separate. There's a glass panel. I thought I was going to touch it then, it wasn't there. There we are, it's just here. So that pulls across thusly, and again, loads of storage. I love this sink and these faucets. That's a very American word, isn't it? Tap, perhaps. And then heated towel rail. It's just really luxurious feeling, and it's lovely. So that is your VIP cabin for your guests. There's blinds, you can see the wooden blinds up there, they drop down over those hull windows. But if we go back a bit further, we will find the day heads. So that is, you can come straight down here and straight in without going into any cabins at all. But at night, if you go into here, you've got cabin number 3, and that has access into that day head, so you can see it just here, so that you can walk straight in and through. So that's good. Another neat trick in here is the fact that if we hit this little button up here, you can see we've got 2 single beds. There we go, you see that one's powering across. I was actually looking at the wrong one then. I thought the outboard one was going to move, but it's this one. So the idea of that, very simply and easily, is you've now got a double bed in there with access down the side of it. Very neat. Hull windows again, those circular chaps there, opening portholes, so you can get a bit of air into there, but of course it is air conditioned as well. And then again, huge hanging locker, and again those traps in the back to get to some of the systems and plumbing, wiring, that kind of stuff. There's more storage hidden away up here. It's a very decent cabin. You've got reading lights as well up by the beds. More storage down by the side of the bed. It's either there, or if you move this across, there's one in the centre. Very, very nice cabin, that. However, that's cabin 3. If we go across the other side, cabin 4. Bunks in here. They are full-size adult bunks. Great for kids, of course, but you can sleep adults in here with no problem at all. And again, it's got all the facilities. You've got a decent-sized wardrobe in here. You've got storage up in places like this. You've got opening hull windows underneath. And this cabin at night, of course, you would come out of here and across and use that heads, the day heads, if you needed it. So those are all your guest cabins. If you come back a bit further, again, so much stuff to find on this boat. If you look down here, washer dryer is built in down there. And then a massive storage area here for bedding or whatever else you want to put in there. These are all the instruction books that are in flight cases. So every bit of kit, from the stereo to the radar to the engines, everything comes with instructions, and they're all in there. And then this is the master cabin. Beautiful, isn't it? Full beam of the boat, big hull windows. I love these blinds. Look at these blinds. Superb. And if we pull on that little fella there, we'll find ourselves with a view out across Sultan's Marina and some fenders hanging from the rail. Let's come back here a bit. There we go. Lovely. We're at Sultan's Marina in Poole, which is where boats.co.uk are, who are the guys who've got this one for sale. I love this seat in here, somewhere you can come and tuck yourself away. And then you've got AV equipment, of course, in places like this. Again, the way they finish this woodwork in places like this, so it contrasts with the walnut, I think is just superb. All this across here is storage. So drawers here, and underneath here. And that is all the way across. It's the kind of boat you can keep in the Med and say, hey, we're going to the boat for a month, and just have everything on board. Superb. And as you'd expect, this has its own ensuite, but it's a good one. Come and look at this. So down here, it's like another little dressing area, really, because there's big wardrobes here, absolutely huge. And in fact, I think there's drawers underneath there as well. Let's have a look. Yeah, there we go. And on the other side, how about that for an ensuite? Fantastic. Love the lighting in here. Love this huge rainfall shower down the end. Again, you've got a lovely big window. There is a blind that drops down. But I've been on one of these boats and we were out at anchor, there's nobody around, and to be able to shower and look out at the sea glinting outside is one of life's rare pleasures. It's absolutely fantastic. Heated towel rail in here again, the toilet is in here, of course. And then if we come around here, lovely big sink. And as you expect, there's bits of storage down underneath and up in places like this as well. Beautiful, isn't it? Let's come right back into the shower and we can take it all in all its glory. Fantastic. I'm so enthusiastic about this boat, you can probably tell. So you're back out of here. Let's say this is like a nice dressing area. You've got your wardrobes there, and then we come on round and there's the cabin. There's of course a door on here, you can see it just there. So this closes off for privacy. Loads more to show you, loads more. Look at the way they've lit underneath every step. as you come up through here, as well as that lighting up the side. And then we come on round, and again, same deal. You can't see it so well today because it's obviously daylight, but at night, each step, there we go, you can see now, is lit discreetly underneath. The detailing is just beautiful. Let's come on up, back into this area. We'll come right through here, and I'll show you the deck areas. I'll show you that garage as well, and then we'll also look at the engines then. And there's another area on this boat as well I want to show you, which is quite neat. It's not a crew cabin. I should explain that when we get to it. So I think we'll take a turn around the outside first of all. You've got these lovely big decks. I like the way it's all nicely protected as you come round. The steps are up. You've got the rail that starts right back here before you even get onto the side deck, so you feel really secure. That little fella there, diesel filler, there's one each side, and you can see it's set into there so that any diesel that spills doesn't get down onto your teak, because you've got a lip just there. And look, even little gas struts in places like this. Detailing is fantastic. Let's go on round. Rail up here as well to hold on to. That is that side access door, straight out from the helm, so you can see how useful that is. You can step out from there, and you're immediately here and able to come up and put a rope down onto the cleat or whatever else. There is storage tucked away in places like this, so lines, fenders, all that kind of stuff, you've got somewhere to put it. And then up underneath here, we've got the covers on at the moment, but this is a seating area around here and sub-bed cushions on the front. In fact, it's quite useful to see it like this, because people often say, well, what happens to those seats when it rains? But this is what happens to them. You put covers over them. There's speakers up here as well for the fusion system, here and over on this side. And let's come right round to the front. It's got teak laid, side decks all the way around, big electric anchor winch on the front, and your anchor, as you can see then, is hanging over the bow. And in here, you can see a massive anchor chain locker, like so. Let's stop and take a look back. It's that lovely big chunk of boat, isn't it? Okay, we'll head on down this side. There you can see that big sliding roof section. And we'll come on down. There's an electric window on this side as well, so you get plenty of air through here. That's really helpful. It is air conditioned, but a day out today when it's just nice and breezy, it's just nice to get fresh air through there rather than closing it all up and putting the aircon on. Back down here, and we'll step back into the cockpit. If you're wondering what this is an EPIRB. It's an emergency thing. Worst absolute case scenario, you're abandoning ship, you open that and grab it, and it sends off a distress signal to the rescue services and lets you know that you're in trouble and where you are. So that's what that little fella is. One of those things you hope never to need. Back across here. Now they do a V65 and an S65. This is the S65. On the V65, it's an identical boat, but just with a solid roof. You've got that sliding roof section, but then it's just a completely smooth roof over. If you go for the S version, then you get these steps and you get this flybridge up here. This is what I mean about it having everything. It's a sports cruiser, but it has the flybridge as well. Now again, we've got the covers on so you can see how they work, but there's a bar underneath here and a fridge and so on, and then seating around the back, table there, and this just uncovers. You can see it down underneath there. That's your radar, TV antenna, GPS antennas are on there, there's a searchlight on the top, nav lights on the top, all that kind of stuff is up on there. Then there's a great seating area up here. When you're actually out and cruising, you've got the helms person here and a navigator or whoever wants to come along and enjoy the ride, but then loads of space here for people to join in. There is a fridge underneath there, and then all of your instrumentation is repeated underneath here. Again, covers on at the moment, but that's your multifunction displays and your throttles and your steering and your thrusters and all that kind of stuff to drive the boat. It's all controlled from here. And that one just there is a bimini top, so that will lift up and give you shade across here. So if it's somewhere really hot, you're not roasting, you can actually shade yourself. It's a really breezy day. I mentioned we were in pool, you can see the water lapping up against the sides over there. And in fact, there were people kite surfing earlier, but they've all disappeared or possibly blown away. Another thing people ask, why would you have a door on here? Well, there are a couple of reasons. First of all, if you're up here with little kids, you can drop that down. You can stand on this, he says, trustingly. But it means, yeah, people are running around up here. If you've got that down, nobody's going to fall down the steps, so that's good. But there's more to it than that, because It does clip up as well. You can see that's a clip there. And there's a canopy that encloses this whole cockpit section. So if we have a look up here, you can see the track for it. That slides into there, slides all the way around there, and all of this entire area then is enclosed. So A, it protects it, and B, it gives you another area that's protected if you want to. And so then, of course, if you've got that on, it makes no sense to have a big hole in the roof, and that comes down and just closes that in. Right, more to show you, the garage. I promised you the garage. So there's a button over here. Da, da, da. No, there isn't. Moving on. There's a button over here. I'll do that out later. Here we go, several buttons in fact. Now these operate, there's a passerelle that comes out from these steps, and that extends out, it's like a gangplank, and it means you can get onto a quay if you're stern to berth against the quay, as is often the case in the Med. That middle one there, if I hit that one, let's try turning it on first. I do know about boats, honest. There we go. That powers up, and that's the garage. Now the interesting thing is you also have a high-low platform. What that means is you can put a tender in here out of the way, but you could also then take a jet ski. You could even take a second tender. So if there's a lot of people on the boat, and if you've got, I don't know, 8 people staying on the boat, which you easily could do with all those cabins, you might think, well, we'll have a couple of tenders on the back, and then people have got options. So down here is the garage. Now what you have to do is drop this bathing platform down, and then this tender will roll out straight into the water. This is a Williams turbojet. It's a turbojet 285, so it's about, well, 2.8 meters. It's a decent size, and you can see you've got seating here and seating up at the front there, so you'll sit, I don't know, 3 or 4 people onto that. And I like the fact it's got dark tubes on this. A lot of these have the white tubes, but that looks rather smart. It's a jet drive engine. You can see the jet is down there. It's actually underneath this cowling here. And so it works with a water pump. It pumps water up inside and powers it out the back. Now the benefit of that is, first of all, it allows for very shallow running, but it also means, of course, there's no propeller spinning around. If you're doing water sports off it, it makes it a lot safer. And that's why it has this. That's a ski tow eye. So if you wanted to pull water skiers or wakeboards, that kind of thing, that will do it. A lot of fun. And you could put, I say that's a 285, you could put a larger one, a 325, on the platform here if you wanted to. Or as I say, you might prefer a jet ski or whatever, but it gives you so much adaptability, you can spec this however you like. That is the control for it. You can see it's got in and out, and the reason for that is because there is a winch. You can't see it because it's hidden by the bow, but you hit the down button and it allows you to pull it out into the water, and you unclip it and you're ready to go. When you come back in, you clip the winch line back on, hit the up button, and it winches it back in out of the way. So that's how you get that in and out of there. Let's go and drop that back down. That's where that passerelle comes out of. So we'll find that button there again, and that'll drop that back down. There we go, and still there is more to show you, because on this size of boat, sometimes they have a crew cabin. It's pretty small because it is a sports cruiser. Because it has a tender garage, there's not much room for a crew cabin. So the owner that originally owned this one spec'd it. Instead of having a crew cabin, he thought that would be more useful as a sort of storage area and utility area. So if I open this fella here up, there we go, and we'll head on down. There we go. Now if you had the crew cabin, you would just have a single bed in here. I think there's a toilet in here as well. But this owner chose not to do that. So what he's done is fitted this out with this nice flooring. You've got storage for all kinds of stuff here. So you might want to keep all your swim gear here, your fins and your snorkels and your face masks and maybe dive bottles, all that kind of stuff. But look at this as well. He's put this great big sink in here and just made it into a bit of a utility area. So you can clean stuff up, sort stuff out. Also gives you a lot of access. You can just see that is the Seakeeper stabilizer right in the centre of the boat, low down. Also means you can get to things like the stern gear easily. He's put another deep freeze in here as well, so you've got extra storage. I think it's a really, really good idea. Now, if you really wanted a crew cabin, it can be done. You can retrofit them. But I think this makes a lot of sense on this sort of boat. I really do. Let's go over here There we go, that's the stern gear. You can see the lighting in here as well, so you can see everything clearly. Pumps are in here, all that kind of stuff. Just really easy to get at. And these are the canopies I mentioned that go around the back of the cockpit, so you can completely enclose it. But I think that that is a nice idea. These are the exhausts, they're huge, aren't they? And this is very Princess. Look at how every single pipe and wire is labelled. So we've got deck drain outlet, we've got electric bilge pump aft lazarette, we've got passerelle drain, we've got airbox drain, everything. Because these are drains for things like the, well, that's the telescopic passerelle above. If it comes in and it's wet, of course it's going to be able to drain out. And the deck drains also come through, but they all come into this single manifold and then out of the boat, so you don't have loads of holes for all these different things. But as I say, the way that every single thing is labelled, that's very Princess. They really do go into every detail on these. That is a nice area, I like that. As I say, it's like a utility room, isn't it? But very, very useful, and arguably more useful than the crew cabin in this size boat, because they are pretty small. Okay, back out of here. Still got the engines to go. It's a big tour, this one, isn't it? It's a big boat. Okay, drop that back down. Like so, that slots back in to there. And then we find the engines up under the floor here. Here we go. Look at these beasts. These are MAN V12s. They're 1,400 horsepower each. And a speed on this boat, I'm reckoning, you must be into the mid-30s, which for a 65-foot, 4-cabin boat with all the facilities this has got, that's fast. It's properly fast. And the space in here as well. You consider there's a garage on this one, which often encroaches in the engine room, but because it's as big as it is, the garage actually starts there. So it doesn't encroach at all. You can get down, you can get round, you can get to everything. Again, that labelling, look at it. Everywhere. Steering cooling, battery box vent. You know what everything is. These are the silencers, these great big like dustbins here. Those are the silencers, because the exhaust come out here through those silencers and out. So that helps to keep the boat nice and refined. Roof drain. I mean, how would you know that was a roof drain if it wasn't labelled? It's fantastic. Fuel tanks are on the outside, pretty big. The range on this, I'm going to guess a bit, but she's probably somewhere around 250, 300 miles at fast cruise. You can drop the speed right back and get much further, of course, but when you're cruising at sort of 20, 25 knots, that's the sort of area that you're going to be. Control systems for the MAN engines are up here on the bulkhead. That's a big fire extinguishing system. Now, somebody said to me recently, and quite sensibly, it has to be said, well, what's the point of having a fire extinguisher there? Because if you have a fire in the engine room, you can't get to it. These are automatic. The whole point of these is that they got sensors on them. If there's a fire, they will fire off automatically. There is also normally a manual override, so that if you thought there's a fire and it hadn't gone off, you can fire it off without coming into here. Fresh water on a hose, so if you want to clean anything, you can do. These are raw water strainers here, so the water comes in from the sea. Cooling water goes through those strainers, so if you have anything that comes in, seaweed or whatever, you can get to it, then goes around the engines, cools the engines and out the exhausts. Pretty cool, huh? Generator back here, so that is creating 240 volt power, so that when that's fired up, you've got all of your 240 volt facilities without needing to be plugged in wherever you are, so air conditioning and dishwashing and all that kind of stuff, that'll run anywhere. And you've also got pretty much standing headroom in here. I mean, it drops just a touch like that, but yeah. Do you see what I mean about this boat does everything for a 65-foot boat? It's incredible. I think it's just absolutely fantastic. If you wonder what that squealing noise is, that's the fenders on the outside. It's not a small child trapped somewhere and crying for help, I promise. Lovely, really nice. Fuel filters are down here where you can get to them and labelled again. Generator switch, labelled again. Just superb, just superb. All the silver stuff, by the way, is sound deadening. And that little chap there is a camera, so that when you're at the helm and you're cruising along and you think, I just want to make sure everything's okay in the engine room, you can flick over and you can see in here and just make sure everything is as it should be. So that's nice. Cool. Let's come back out of here. Drop that one back down. There we go. And that, I hope you'll agree, is a pretty comprehensive tour of a pretty brilliant boat. Let's come back up here. Little security camera up there, by the way. So I'm pretty sure with those that if you're not on your boat and somebody comes into it, it'll let you know and you can check and see who's on it. So that's a nice idea. Clearly, if you're using the boat, you turn those off so you're not being looked at. Let's sit up here at the helm. And I'll show you my last favourite thing. Do you see the way that the Princess badge is the right way up? Watch this. It's weighted. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I hope you enjoyed that tour. Do let me know what you think of it. I think it's a marvellous boat, but you probably worked that one out for yourself. Huge thanks to boats.co.uk. They've organised this tour for me. Huge thanks to you guys for watching it. We'll catch you on another one of these very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.